A heavy ocean breeze welcomed Lana as she stepped onto the crooked porch of her rented cottage, suitcase bumping along the worn wooden planks. She breathed in salt and grass, her heart thumping with anticipation. The sleepy town spread out around her, sun-kissed and silent, as if waiting to see what she'd do next. Inside, dust motes spun in sunbeams, slanting through the window. She set her bags down, did a quick spin, and imagined herself charting constellations through these very windows, away from blaring horns and city lights. The attic's pull-down ladder caught her eye. Peculiar, she thought, considering she hadn't noticed it at the viewing. Curiosity prickled. With a little effort, Lana tugged the ladder down. It creaked in protest, but soon she was up, ducking under cobwebs, brushing her hand along some boxes, and then her fingers grazed something odd. An old tin biscuit tin, dented and scuffed. She cracked the lid open to reveal a neat stack of yellowed envelopes, each sealed in careful script. To Eli, wherever the stars find you. She glanced around, as if someone might jump out to stop her, but the attic remained hushed, so she picked up the first letter. In all these lonely nights, you're the one I talk to, Eli. Do you still watch the same moon? Will you remember me long after the tide forgets my name? The words made Lana's heart flutter strangely. She tucked the letter back, promise thick in her chest. Later, coffee mug in hand, she meandered down to the sea-blasted docks. A chalkboard sign outside a ramshackle bookshop read, "Curious about the past? Come talk to Theo." Inside, the scent of old pages wrapped around her. The bell chimed, and a tall, slightly scruffy man looked up from behind a counter. His eyes, stormy blue, locked onto hers, suspicious yet intrigued. "Can I help you?" he asked, his voice both gentle and wary. Lana clutched her purse, nerves doing a dance. "Actually, I think you just might. Do you know anything about love letters left in attics?" Theo's lips twitched, and for a moment he almost smiled. "Around here, I'd say that's more common than you'd think. But you look like you actually found something." "And you look like you know more than you let on," Lana shot back, smiling in spite of herself. A spark leaped between them, mystery and possibility in equal measure. Outside, dusk painted the sky in streaks of indigo and rose, and Lana had the unshakable feeling that she'd stumbled upon something monumental. The past whispering to the future, and perhaps a new beginning for herself. Theo cleared a space at the counter, revealing a battered map of the town, and gestured for Lana to sit. She perched on a squeaky stool, placing the tin on the counter between them as if it were sacred. "Most visitors are looking for seashells, not stories," Theo said softly, eyeing the tin with open curiosity. "But you're different, aren't you?" Lana flushed. "I felt something when I found these, like they were meant to be discovered. Now, by me." He hesitated, then reached for the tin, stopping just short. "May I?" She nodded. He glanced over the return address. None, but studied the handwriting with care. Old but steady. Whoever wrote these, their feelings didn't fade with time. Lana exhaled slowly. "I want to know who wrote to Eli. I want to know if Eli ever knew." Theo looked at her, unblinking. Some loves go unanswered, but not unlived. She couldn't help but smile at that. "You talk like you believe in ghost stories." He shrugged, a hint of mischief beneath the reserve. "Sometimes the ghosts talk back. Listen, He slid over a local history book, its binding nearly threadbare. The best place to start is the Historical Society. There's records, old yearbooks, property sales, all sorts of breadcrumbs. Lana's fingers brushed his as she reached for the book. A zap of contact. Unexpected, electric. She quickly flipped to a faded photo of the town's stargazing club. Her gaze lingered on a young woman in the photo, dark-haired and shy, holding a homemade telescope. She looks familiar. Does this club still exist? Theo shook his head. Not for decades, but my grandmother was once a member. Maybe she remembers names, faces if we're lucky. A new sense of hope lifted Lana's chest. Theo's stance softened, his earlier caution melting away. If you want, I could take you to her. She doesn't get many visitors these days. Lana grinned. If you're sure she won't mind. For a fellow story hunter, she'll love it. A shriek of gulls echoed as they stepped outside together. The sky, washed in purples and golds, seemed to open a path ahead, towards answers and something more. Neither said out loud what lingered in the humid, sea-bright air, that these letters had already changed something between them. Theo's grandmother lived at the edge of town, her clapboard house half swallowed by wild rose bushes and forget-me-nots. The porch creaked under Theo's weight as he knocked gently. Lana caught the comforting scent of simmering soup and wood smoke, sending a nostalgia through her, even though she'd never been here before. A tiny woman with wiry silver hair answered, her eyes sharp behind thick spectacles. "Theo, and who's this enchanting companion?" Theo chuckled. "Gran, this is Lana. She's staying out at the Webb cottage. We're researching a piece of local history." Lana offered her hand, which the old woman clasped warmly. "Welcome, dear. Come in, I insist." The cozy kitchen was cramped with plants and teacups, every surface layered with decades' worth of memories. Over steaming mugs of tea, Lana placed the tin on the table. Gran's brows shot up. "I haven't seen that in ages. Did you? Oh my, where did you find it?" "In the attic," Lana said brightly. "Do you recognize it?" Theo shot his grandmother an encouraging look. She leaned forward, running a trembling finger along the edge of one letter. They belonged to Celia Hartman. Sweet girl, astronomy club president, always scribbling in her journal, always writing those letters. Brave, too. The town never treated her and Eli kindly. Lana held her breath. Who was Eli? Gran sighed. Elijah Moon, smartest boy in school, and different in a way that scared people. Celia and Eli, night after night, searching the cosmos. Rumor was they planned to run away, so their love wouldn't be a scandal. But he disappeared. She kept writing, hoping he'd come back. Theo set a gentle hand on his Gran's shoulder. Did she ever find out what happened to him? No one really knows. Some said he moved out west. Others said the sea took him. Gran's voice grew quiet. After Celia left, the stargazing club faded. But she'd always leave a letter in the attic before she'd travel, maybe hoping he'd find them one day. Lana felt the ache of lost possibilities. Gran noticed, patting her hand. You're the first to find those in a long time. Maybe it's a sign. Not all stories are meant to be unfinished. Theo caught Lana's gaze, his own eyes bright with something unspoken. Maybe that's our next move. Find out where Celia went, and if there's any trace of Eli. I can help you, Gran said with a conspiratorial wink. I've kept all the club records in the attic. Dusty, but still there. Come by any afternoon you like. Lana looked at Theo, a smile blooming. For the first time in ages, her days felt wide open, full of promise, and as night settled beyond the antique glass, the two of them, side by side, began to wonder if they might one day pen a letter of their own. The next afternoon, Lana and Theo met at Gran's house under a cloudless sky, the air humming with possibility. They climbed to the attic, dodging trunks and stacks of old magazines. Gran handed Lana a dusty cardboard box labeled Astronomy Club, 1963 to 70. Theo nudged her gently. Ready to dive in? Lana grinned. My favorite kind of treasure hunt. They sifted through piles of faded club newsletters, yellowing photographs, and worn journals. Every artifact sparked debate and laughter between them. Theo found a yearbook open to Celia's signature, her loopy cursive under a black and white photo, her eyes drawn skyward even in static print. Lana bit her lip. She always looked up. She must have been a dreamer. Theo nodded, flipping through minutes of meetings, each one noting weather, clear, or sky, promising. Their hands brushed more than once, and each time Lana felt a strange warmth, like she was slowly unfolding secrets in plain sight. Suddenly, she found a newspaper clipping tucked between pages, a headline, Local Boy Missing, Elijah Moon. The knot in Lana's chest grew tighter as she read the old typewritten account. Last seen walking the cliffs after the Perseid meteor shower. Parents declined to comment. Theo's expression sobered as he read over her shoulder. So he really did disappear. No wonder Celia kept waiting for him. They sat in silence, a blanket of sadness momentarily covering their curiosity. Then Gran's voice floated up from below. Lunch, you two! You'll solve nothing on empty stomachs. As they headed down, Theo nudged Lana. It was never just the club's records I wanted you to see. She paused mid-step. What do you mean? He flushed. I guess I wanted an excuse to spend time with you, to share something that mattered. Lana was quiet, heart pounding gently in her chest. She smiled shyly. You didn't need an excuse. I'm glad you brought me here. Lunch passed in a blur of soup, stories, and laughter. Sunlight slanted through the window, turning dust and memory into gold. Afterward, Lana folded the clipping and placed it back, her mind circling with questions. As Theo walked her back to the cottage that evening, dusk painted the sea lavender. He hesitated, then asked quietly, Will you keep searching with me? Even if this gets a little tangled? She looked up at the emerging stars, then at Theo. I wouldn't want it any other way. Side by side, their steps matched, trailing footprints that the night tide wouldn't touch. The following week brought a restless energy Lana hadn't felt in years. Each day, she and Theo met, piecing together the vanished lives of Celia and Eli. The library's microfilm machine became their confessor, spitting out grainy obituaries, auction notices, and forgotten engagement announcements. One afternoon, Lana pored over a stack of club journals, while Theo combed through town records. Suddenly, she gasped, waving a crumpled sheet. Theo! Look, this entry is dated a year after Eli vanished. Stargazing alone is lonelier than I imagined. But tonight, I wrote a final letter and left it in the attic. I hope the stars will guide him home. Theo scanned the page, eyes alight. That could be the last letter, the one you found on top. Maybe there's something special in it. Lana hesitated. The idea of opening that one last, undelivered plea felt sacred. Should we read it? Together? Only if you want to. That night, under the eaves of her cottage, Lana slit open the final letter. Theo watched, hands pressed tight against his knees. The paper trembled as Lana read aloud. I can't see you in the mirror of the sea, Eli. But every night when the Perseids flash above these cliffs, I hope you know I'm still here, loving you in the silence. If you ever find this, find me. I'll wait on the headland during the meteor shower, one last time. Tears pricked Lana's eyes. She never gave up. Neither did he, I'd bet, Theo replied softly. He must have known she was waiting. Lana hugged her knees, letting the old ache mingle with a newer, fluttering feeling that made it hard to breathe. I wish I knew what happened to both of them, wouldn't you? Theo shifted closer. I do. And maybe her waiting is like a message for us, to not let chances slip away. His hand found hers, tentative but honest. Lana squeezed it, neither daring to break the new spell between them. Below, the tide changed under a sky flecked with first stars, and for a moment, Lana believed anything lost could be found again. Rainstormed mornings settled over the town, making the world intimate and hushed. Lana brought coffee and cinnamon rolls to the bookshop, where Theo greeted her with a crooked grin and 2 mugs waiting. They sat among the maze of books, the tin of letters their constant companion. Lana tapped a finger on Celia's final letter. She mentions the meteor shower. Maybe if we find records of people at the headland that night, we'll know if Eli ever met her. Theo nodded. My grandfather used to head out there to watch the Perseids every summer. There might be a logbook or something in the lighthouse archives. Lana's eyes sparkled. Let's go! The walk to the lighthouse was wild. Slick rocks, seabirds bracing against wind, rain threatening but never breaking. Theo led her inside, his hand sometimes steadying her elbow on the steep spiral stairs. At the top, the keeper, a wiry older man named Harris, sat in a pool of lamplight. He eyed the pair with a knowing smile. Looking for legends, eh? Well, records I've got. Guest books thicker than a sailor's beard. Help yourselves. The two combed through decades of names, squinting at cursive entries beneath dates marked for meteor showers. Hours slipped by, punctuated by Lana's laughter when Theo mispronounced a name, or Theo's quips about the town's oddest old-timers. Then Lana gasped, pointing to a delicate signature on the very night Celia waited. Celia Hartman, hope shining bright. Just below it, in a different hand, aged and hurried, E. Moon. Here finally. Theo let out a long, low whistle. He was there, Lana. He did come back. She stared at the names, awestruck. But why did they never leave together? Was this their last meeting? Theo read the next name out loud. Pier Moon. He frowned. That's Eli's father, if town stories are right. A heavy silence fell. Maybe something, or someone, kept them apart, Lana murmured. Theo touched her hand gently, his thumb tracing slow circles. We know they saw each other one last time, under the meteors. Maybe it's up to us to find out what happened after. Thunder rumbled in the distance, but above the lighthouse, the clouds finally broke, and the world below shimmered with new light. Just enough to illuminate another piece of the puzzle, and the delicate hope blooming between them. The sun broke through with a golden vengeance the next morning, shining on a new sense of purpose between Lana and Theo. They met outside the cottage, the salt-tanged breeze weaving their words together as they planned their next steps. Theo thumbed the lighthouse guest book. If Peter Moon was there, maybe he can tell us why Eli never returned, or if he still lives nearby. My grandmother might know how to find him. Lana's heart thundered. Let's ask her before the trail goes cold. At Gran's kitchen table, Lana poured tea while Theo relayed their discovery. Gran's eyes went wide. Peter Moon, you say? Oh, he's still alive. Reclusive as a hermit, still owns that old crab fishing shack on the far bluff. Folks say he hasn't spoken of Eli for 50 years. Theo met Lana's gaze. We could try, maybe if we show him Celia's letters. Nervous anticipation carried them down ragged coastal roads until the wind and gulls were all that remained of civilization. The shack tottered on weather-beaten stilts above the rocks. Theo knocked, his hand steady beside Lana's trembling one. At first, silence. Then the door cracked open, revealing an elderly man, lines etched deep into his face, his blue eyes intense and wary. We're not selling anything, he barked. But Theo spoke up. We're looking for answers about what happened to Elijah and Celia Hartman. We found their letters. Peter's expression shifted. Hurt, anger, then tired resignation. He opened the door. Inside, the shack was silent but for the ticking of an old clock and the crash of distant surf. Lana drew a shaky breath. Did Eli come back that night, sir? Did he ever find Celia? Peter's hands shook as he took the final letter in his calloused grip. He closed his eyes, lips forming silent words. He did come, but I stopped him. Told him the world wasn't kind to boys like him. Told him he'd ruin himself chasing dreams. I regret it every day. By morning, he was gone, and Celia left soon after. Never forgave me. Lana's throat ached. Do you know where they went? Peter gave a small, choked laugh. I got a letter from Eli years later. He'd found a place in San Francisco, said to tell Celia, but she'd already vanished. I never told anyone. I didn't think it mattered after all I'd ruined. Theo spoke gently but firmly. It always matters, even now. Peter met Lana's eyes, his voice raw. If you want to find the rest, check the old P.O. box numbers on Maine. Eli said sometimes he wrote to Celia, hoping her heart would guide her letters home. The truth, Lana realized, was heartbreaking, but there was a glimmer of hope. She squeezed Theo's hand beneath the table, a silent promise that they'd keep searching. For Celia, for Eli, and maybe for themselves too. Armed with Peter Moon's confession and a fresh wave of determination, Lana and Theo hurried to the old stone post office at the heart of town. Inside, the air carried the scent of sun-warmed paper and ink. A clerk eyed them over bifocals as they explained their quest and offered a list of years, Eli's name, and every P.O. box he might have used. After much rummaging, the clerk produced a faded ledger. Theo traced his finger along the columns and found it. P.O. Box 87. Held by E. Moon, 1969 to 1974. Closed by request. No forwarding address. But wait, there's a note. Letters returned, addressee unknown. Lana's eyes filled with mixed hope and sorrow. So he did try. So many lost chances. They left the post office in silence, clutching copies of the logs. The world outside was bright, the day impossibly ordinary, yet both felt the weight of what they'd learned. As they walked back toward the sea, Theo's hand brushed against Lana's. "We've gotten this far," he said. "What if we try one more place? Check for records in San Francisco. There are old address registries, clubs for amateur astronomers. Maybe we'll find a trace of Eli." Lana smiled, the promise of adventure stirring in her chest. "If you're with me, I want to try. Celia deserves to know someone cared." Before they left, Lana wrote a letter of her own and tucked it into the tin beside Celia's last one. "If you find this, know that your longing didn't disappear into the stars. We heard you, and we remember." That evening, on the beach, they watched a meteor flash across the navy sky. Theo cleared his throat, nervous for the first time. "Lana, sometimes I think these letters were never about the past alone. They brought you here, brought us together." She met his gaze, her heart leaping. "That's what I keep hoping too. Does it scare you?" He laughed softly, looking straight at her. "Terrifies me. But I think Celia and Eli would tell us. Don't waste what you find." They stood inches apart, silence swelling with possibility and questions. In the half-light, as the stars began to glimmer, Lana and Theo realized they carried love stories, not just for others, but for themselves. Unfinished, yes, but brimming with hope. A week later, the air buzzed with anticipation as Lana and Theo boarded the early bus to San Francisco, the old tin of letters between them like a fragile pact. City lights flickered into view, a thrilling contrast to their quiet coastal town. Lana had always dreamed of visiting for its observatories, but this journey felt more momentous, like she was chasing starlight that once belonged to someone else, and maybe to herself as well. Using old directories and hints from Celia's journals, they scoured libraries and contacted amateur astronomy clubs. Doors opened slowly. An old club database led to a faded photograph. A name in a ledger matched a familiar signature. Again and again, they traced Eli's path. He had joined the Bay Area Star Watchers, teaching kids to chart constellations, submitting poetry to newsletters with lines reminiscent of his letters to Celia. One graying club founder, a gentle woman named Mrs. Ling, met them in the planetarium lobby. Her recollections sent a tremor through Lana, who gripped Theo's arm tight. "Eli Moon?" Mrs. Ling mused, tearing at a black and white group photo. "I remember him. Quiet, wistful, always watching the skies. He talked of a girl who wrote him letters, said he kept them in a tin, like his own heartbeat." Theo exchanged a glance with Lana, hope and tenderness mingling in their eyes. "Do you know if he ever found her again, or where he went?" Mrs. Ling's smile was sad and kind. "He spoke of one last night watching the Perseids from his rooftop. After that, he told me he was leaving, to chase the memory of someone who waited on a cliff by the sea. We never heard from him again. Sometimes I think he was happiest in longing, somehow keeping her close, even from afar." The bittersweet truth washed over Lana. She realized that some stories don't tie up neatly, that some loves shine brightest in what's left unsaid. But even then, they inspire hope in those who find them. As dusk fell over the city, Lana and Theo retreated to a hilltop park. They unfurled a blanket under the blooming city stars, the tin of letters open between them. Theo brushed a strand of hair from Lana's brow, voice low and full of awe. "We might never know if Celia and Eli found each other, but their love didn't disappear. You brought it back. Lana leaned against him. And you helped me believe love can still surprise us, even at the end of someone else's story. He took her hands in his, gaze searching. What if we stop searching for other people's endings and start writing a beginning for us? The city's pulse faded beneath the hush of that perfect moment. In the shadow of old heartbreak, Lana found the courage to reach for something new, knowing that, sometimes, the most enduring love stories are the ones we choose to begin, even while still carrying the weight of the past. But as they shared a kiss beneath the San Francisco starlight, neither knew that one last letter, a letter neither Celia nor Eli ever sent, waited to be discovered, ready to turn the pages of history once more. Her last day in San Francisco dawned soft and misty, golden light dancing along the horizon. Lana and Theo savored breakfast at a quiet cafe, hearts tangled with what they'd uncovered and what still lay hidden. They had found almost everything, emboldened by Eli and Celia's legacy, embracing their own unexpected connection. But one thread still shimmered just out of reach. After a bittersweet farewell to Mrs. Lane, the couple meandered through the Marina district. The weight of the tin lighter in Lana's hands. In a dusty thrift shop window, she spotted a battered astronomy journal, its cover bearing the symbol Celia always drew, a circle of stars. Without knowing why, Lana hurried inside. Flipping through, a folded, untouched envelope slid out, addressed simply, "For C. Hartman, if found by kindred stars." Theo's breath caught. Could it be? Heart racing, Lana opened the letter. It was Eli's handwriting. "Celia, if one day you find this, know that your letters guided me through every darkness. I watched the sky, and I saw your love in every falling star. I never stopped looking for you. I hope the world is kinder for us in the next life or the next. Until then, I'll write my heart into the night, hoping you'll read it from your own patch of sky. Yours always, Eli." Lana's eyes filled with tears, her fingers trembling as she handed the letter to Theo. He never really gave up, even when he couldn't reach her. Theo squeezed her hand gently. "And now it's found its way home, thanks to you." Carrying the letter, they returned to their coastal town with a new sense of closure. Together, they invited the townsfolk, Mrs. Ling, and even Peter Moon to a community stargazing night, dedicated to Celia and Eli, a love story etched into the constellations. As meteors streaked the sky that evening, Lana placed Eli's last letter beside Celia's in the cottage attic. Their story whole at last. Theo brushed Lana's cheek, wonder in his gaze. "So, what now, stargazer?" She smiled, tears and laughter mingling. "We write our own letters. We make our own sky. In the hush beneath the shimmering heavens, surrounded by friends and the ties of old and new loves, Lana and Theo embrace the future, not as the end of the story, but as the hopeful, luminous beginning both had spent their lives searching for."